Welcome back, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas afternoon where I live. Grandkids have had a wonderful Christmas morning, as our family did. Had our traditional large breakfast, uh, and so much so that since I've already put 1,000 calories in me, when I get done recording this, it's out to the pool for an hour swim, and then probably watching football the rest of the day. I hope your holidays are going great. Still very cloudy where I live, very windy, not good for observing. So I went back and I've looked, and I got like 9 observing reports, 8 more after this one that I need to get caught up on, and I'll be doing that probably over the next week between Christmas and New Year's, and trying to get caught up on those. I also have a couple other posts that I want to do. And I'll talk at the end of this video about my direction moving forward. I've been thinking and planning out what exactly I want to do. Uh, I went to the Unita Mountains last June, so 6 months ago, almost to the day, and as of tomorrow. And hadn't been observing up there for a couple of years, several years actually. And I love going to the mountains. I really squirrel in the text of the post, so I'm going to warn you about that if you're going to read the post. Uh, when I was young, when I was in high school, I participated in a forestry training program and a forestry program because I really loved trees. I loved plants. Biology was kind of very high interest to me. And I just loved being out in nature too. I loved working in nature. I loved doing things like that. And so I signed up for this. I was on the forestry FFA team. We took state, I believe, and we took the tournament at Modesto Junior College in my senior year. A whole bunch of things we had to do there for that program. When I graduated, I was a registered forest technician in the state of California. My plan was to go to Humboldt State, study biology, and eventually get a job either with the Forest Service or working and opening up my own nursery and doing that, something like that. Well, unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 17 in the June before my 17th year. Kind of really just caused my life to go into topsy-turvy. Life threw a major curveball. Had to deal with that. Had to deal with a lot of things that were going on within my family at that time with my mom, and it was just a very hard and difficult time. And I ended up not pursuing that. And I've kind of found from that in my life that there's been several different opportunities and paths that I could have walked. I made the choices that I did, walked where I did, learned what I have. I've had a good life, had a good career, and happy with it. But I think that's the exciting thing. I think if I could live like 300 years with the body of a 4-year-old, there would be 2 or 3 or 4 professions that I could probably do and really enjoy. I think that's true for all of us. It's just finding a passion and pursuing it. That's what I would recommend to anybody who is looking to start a career or get into a career. So this all talks about everything that I just basically covered. I spent a lot of time in my youth in Sierra Nevada working, backpacking, fishing, hiking, doing things that I really loved and enjoy. So I've always loved the mountains. I love the beach. Spent a lot of times at the beach in my high school and teenage years. But I also spent probably equal amount of time up in the mountains. The mountains have a very dear and tender place to my heart. I love the deserts of Utah. I love observing in the deserts. But I also love the mountains of Utah. They're very distinct and very beautiful. Anyway, so I decided to go up to Wolf Creek Pass. I really wanted to go to a place called Elizabeth Ridge. It's my favorite spot in the Uintas. Dark, 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 away. If I go up during the week, there's usually nobody camping up there. It's about 10,100 feet or so. It's high up. It's remote, extremely remote. I usually have the site to myself, except for some elk or deer that come in the area. Once a bear in the distance, and it's just a magical place. Unfortunately, it's about a 4-hour drive to get there, and it's a multiple day event when I go there. So this day, I knew the crescent moon was going to be up, and went set to about 10:15, 10:20. So I decided to go up to Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek Pass is up in the Unita Mountains. It's above, you go past Heber City out to pass up to Camas, down south of Camas to Woodruff, then Francis, then Woodruff, and then you take Highway 35, State Highway 35 out to the Wolf Creek Summit. And I'm just going to show you some pictures that I've posted as part of it. Here you can see that there's State Highway 35 heading up out of Woodruff. There's a nice a fork of the Provo River runs next to you. It's just beautiful up there, very green even at this time in late June last year. As I got up near the top, you come to this sign. It says Hannah, 15 miles up over the top of the pass, and then you descend down. Or you can turn left right here into the Desheen Ridge, and that's where I was going. As you turn left in, there is Forest Service toilets right there. Always take a break and stop and use those. There's a Forest Service campsite which you have to pay for. It's all surrounded by trees, which you can see in this image. It's not a good place to observe. There are dispersed camping next to the campgrounds that you can claim to, first come, first serve, or you can drive out to the ridge. And so I was going out to the ridge, and so you can see as I drove out and got past the dispersed camping sites, you go drive out past several meadows here. The meadows are beautiful. This doesn't capture it. You can kind of see off to the right, if my pointer is correct, some purple flowers, some lupins were out. Over here we had sunflowers and dandelions out, just galore all over. You can see the yellow through here. It was just magical and glorious. The wildflowers were out in all their beauty. I took a lot of pictures. I didn't share them in this post. Maybe I'll just share a post of them of themselves. I may edit some of them in so you can see it. The road's a dirt road, as you can see, and it's going upward. There are rocks. There are a couple of ruts in a couple places. If you go out in June, once the snow melts, you're probably going to hit a couple of ruts because as the snow gets up over 100 inches out here, typically, not this year, not yet. And we'll have to see if that changes. I don't think it will. We're looking at a very dry year, I think, this year. But as the snow melts, you get some runoff. They'll cause a little bit of a dip as water makes a little creek bed or something through there. Anyway, the drive out's beautiful. At the end of this, as you come up this road and turn that corner, you end up here, and you can turn right here, and it goes out to a ridge that dead ends pretty quickly after you turn right. Or you can turn around and you can go left, and when you go left, you pass this Forest Service 293 road, and you're going to pass this sign that says dead end, and the road will dead end about 3 to 5 miles out. And you just keep driving out that road, and you're going to see at some point as you're driving out, the road kind of comes up and curves like this, but there's this clump of trees. And I do got to mention this. I squirrel again here in the post. The clump of trees, I call this my Gettysburg. I've been to Gettysburg several times when I was working in Virginia, and it's a sacred place. My third great grandfather served in the 153rd Pennsylvania. They were in battle on day 1 and day 2 at Culp's Hill. They helped secure the corner of the Hook for the Union Army that day and on the second day. And he fought both days. He actually, in the march from Washington to Gettysburg, came down with a severe cold that later turned into pneumonia and killed him. He died about 3 months after Gettysburg from that. And he left his second wife with 9 children, 4 from his first and 5 from his second marriage. They were all under the age of 15. He was a German immigrant. He'd been a doctor of homeopathic medicine and did well for himself when he was alive, but didn't leave much for his family. His second wife ended up having to send the children out to relatives, or the older ones were hired out to local farmers who worked for them for their lodging and support, and she ended up being a housekeeper to support herself. My second great grandfather ended up moving out to Iowa, where his daughter met up with my second great grandfather, Charles Eads, Walt Eads as he was known. And anyway, it's just a long story. But so when I go to Gettysburg, it is hallowed ground for me, and the clump of grounds where Pickett's charge was focusing to go to the clump of trees. The Union repulsed Pickett's charge, ending in a Union victory at the Battle of Gettysburg, turning point of the Civil War. It's a very sacred and hollow place for me. Wolf Creek, Duchesne Ridge here is a very sacred and hollow place for me. I've had wonderful one-on-one experiences out there with the night sky. It's very calming, very soothing. I just love being out there. So I do call this my personal Gettysburg, just a little connection. I have a bachelor's in history. That my first degree is bachelor's in English, double major. And anyway, so that's why you'll see me make references from time to time. One of the things I love about astronomy, especially here in Utah, there's a lot of history that goes on. Westward expansion, mountain men, Fremont as an explorer, the Spanish, the Native Americans. Utah is actually very rich in history in historical terms, and it's very fascinating to be able to see some of these sites. Anyway, so you can read all about my little grandfather there that I shared. I got out to the ridge and drove out. Just the clump of trees are off to the right. You can see myself setting up here. There's the ascent. The 17.5 is assembled. Tables up, ladders up. This will zoom in a little bit more. Chairs up, and just getting ready to go for the night. You can see right there my 2-inch memory foam. There's an air mattress underneath that, so when I get done with observing in the night, what I do is pack up all my cases. I put them in the front seat, crawl into the back, have a pillow, have a blanket or a sleeping bag, crawl under that or in it, and crawled into it that night because it got cold. This is a good point I've made with clothing. I was dressed warm up here. It got down to about 36 degrees that night, and this was at the end of June. It can still get very cold when you're up about 9,000, 10,000 feet. So I got set up, got everything collimated. I was really concerned when I got up there. Here you can see the 17.5. You can see some wildflowers, some of the wild flax up there. You can see part of the ridge back here. You can see the drop off the ridge. But you can see here, the ridge itself is actually pretty steep. This is looking through the clump of trees down to the valley floor below. There's a little river creek that runs through there. All that is water places. Moose love that area, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But as you can see in this shot, there's a lot of clouds when I got up there. In these two shots of the 17.5. In the forecast, I had really looked at Astropheric. I looked at my local National Weather Service and some other maps that I use. And everything pointed to clear skies that evening, exceptional transparency that evening. That's why I decided to take the gamble and go up to Wolf Creek. So I assembled everything, got everything set up. I don't wear my Apple Watch when I go observing. I wear my Casio watch here. It has compass, direction, multiple time zones, so I can look Greenwich time to my current time. And it has an altimeter in it, so the altimeter was reading at this location on the ridge 9,380 feet, which is about right. Here you can see more from the edge of the ridge line looking down into that valley below where the creek bed is. This is looking south. That's your south flow. You can see the clouds out there. Then all of a sudden, magically, as sunset came, just like predicted, the clouds dispersed. They went away. Skies became gorgeous and clear. This is looking north. There were some people camping back in the trees back here about 10, 15 yards in. They didn't disturb me at all. By sundown, they were in their tents about 9:30, and they stayed in their tents. Somebody got out about 1 o'clock to go to the bathroom. You could hear that. They had a bathroom tent set up. And anyway, so that's where they were. This is the view looking north. The trees, yeah, they'll block a little bit of that, but really, I'm not looking at anything down that low when I look north. I'm looking pretty high up in the sky. This is the view looking northwest earlier in the day. You can see that ridge line. A little bit of snow still there. There was snow in pockets that hadn't melted yet from the last winter. And now you're beginning to see what happened as sunset came. Look how clear that sky is. You can see my shadow there. This is the clump of trees. I was looking down below, and this is the view coming back, looking back toward the northwest. Just beautiful. Just sky became totally gorgeous. Again, another shot with the clump of trees there. I wonder if that's a broader shot out. I've stepped back. You can definitely see the ridge line right here. Here's the 17.5. Still a few clouds at this point. This was a little earlier than these shots, but they had started to dissipate by this time, about 8 o'clock. So anyway, 17.5 I call Starcatcher, just a nickname I've given the scope. I always have had it for about 10 years now. I like the name. Like I said, I had a family camping in the woods, and after I got everything set up, this is a picture of the 17.5. She's collimated, fans going. You can see the cords down here, the boundary layer, the rear fans going. Everything's good to go. I've actually aligned the finder, the eyepiece, and the Telrad together. And one of the things I'm going to mention on here, just a little bit of a tidbit mentioned in the post, is I initially, when I align my eyepiece to the Telrad and finder, use a pretty wide field eyepiece just to get in the general ballpark. It's a little easier. But then I always usually put in the 7mm Pentax XW because it's a much more narrow view, and that helps me to make my alignment really tight. I find that's important so that when later in the night, when I'm actually star hopping, like tonight I was just doing all star hopping, I didn't have the Pi finder with me at this point, and it just makes those hops a little far more accurate when I'm going off, especially since I'm using Sky Safari as my finder atlas now. Anyway, the other thing it does, when you do use the Pi finder, you can use a general thing to get in the ballpark, but if you do that, you're going to find that your alignment's off by like 0.08 to 0.12 on both your azimuth and altitude readings. If you use that high magnified eyepiece, I find that I'm within 0.0102 on both altitude and azimuth, or in other words, that object's centered right in the middle. I can just keep a high power eyepiece in the eyepiece hole I can just use a high power eyepiece and just not have to swap them out. And every time that object gets centered in there with the Pi finder. So a little hint that I've learned with the Pi finder: make sure that when you're aligning, you align with higher magnification eyepieces. Anyway, I sat down shortly after this as I was enjoying these views up here, and ate my dinner. My dinner was a chicken salad. Done really good. I lost from 360. I was down to about 211. September, we went on vacation for 3 weeks. I couldn't swim during that time. I did do walk runs. I still gained about 10 pounds then. Then I put a knife into my hand right there. I don't know if you can see the scar or not, but anyway, I'll just try to show it. It's right there. Anyway, and had an open wound for a month. So I've gained about 25 pounds. I've lost about 5 of it now. I got about 30 more to get back down to where I need to be. I need to stay about 205, between 205 and 210, just for my kidney disease and everything I have going. So really focused, even with the holidays, on losing weight. That's why after I get done with this, it's in the pool for an hour. Anyway, as I was enjoying this, I heard down here off the ridge, a huge sound coming up. It was an animal. It was a large animal. I have bear spray. I have protection with me. And so I got the bear spray out. You never know. Maybe he smelled my food. And I was just waiting. I don't get apprehensive with animals. I don't. I just wait to see what's going to happen and what type of animal it is. And soon enough, I heard it coming up, and it emerged. And what I saw was this beauty. She was probably a younger moose. She was still huge. I've seen moose before, and every time I see them, I'm amazed just how big they are. One of the largest animals I've ever seen. They're just truly amazing in the wild. She came up grazing, looking around, looked at me a couple times, kept her grazing up, probably grazed for a good 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then eventually she got done, and then she turned and went back down the ravine, down to the creek. I could see her down there. And then she eventually worked her way into the reeds and stuff, and I lost view of her. But that was a pretty cool experience to have a moose come up and check you out, so to speak. Anyway, I sat down, started enjoying the sunset. Off to the west was the only place that we had clouds. They were dissipating still. Beautiful sunset here. You can see the sun with the crisp, I can never say this word, crepuscular rays as they're going through the clouds here. Beautiful shot, really beautiful on the ridge. Of course, like I mentioned, it was a crescent moon. Crescent moon. Sunset was about 9:30. Crescent moon disappeared about 10:15, 10:20 to the west, behind the mountains to the west. So it wasn't that bad, but just made for a starking view. Took a couple decent images here. Just thought I would share them. Once that went away, I got to observing. And people will think late June isn't galaxy time. It's time for Sagittarius and nebulas and globulars and all that. But on my, since I'm reworking the Herschel list and sketching the Herschel items in my 17 and a half, so everything's consistent. It's been a good 12 years since, no, probably longer than that, 14 years since I finished that. I was going to work tonight, and I started in Ursa Major. She was up and really nice at this point still. Started in GC 2985. What I've done in the post here's what it is. I just stayed up here. That everything's done in the 17.5 inch Dobsonian telescope that I have. I've shown you the pictures. It's an f4.4. I was using the Paracord 2. My eyepieces were the 20 millimeter XWA, 13 millimeter XWA, 9 millimeter XWA, and the 7 millimeter XWA. I also used my 6 millimeter University HD orthoscopic just for some tighter views, especially when I was sketching. I usually state the eyepiece. I don't state when I put the orthoscopic in. It's just a given that I'm using that on every observation at one point. Seeing was very good throughout the night. Transparency was excellent and almost moved to outstanding at times. SQM up here was 2165 to 2169. Usually it's a 21.7 to 21.8 site, usually low 21.8s. In the past, two things impacting it. You're getting a little more light pollution off to the south east from some of the oil and from Vernal in that area and Roosevelt. Of course, the Salt Lake Light Dome continues to increase, and that's out to the west at this site. And so there was a little bit of impact, I think, from that. I think if the transparency had been average, I would have had even a much lower SQM reading that night. So I think between solar max and then just ever increasing light pollution, even though this is still a decently dark site, it's not as dark as it has been. But because you're up so high, I think it makes up for that a little bit. Anyway, here I did this. This was 2985. It's a grand spiral in Ursa Major, June 27th. This one's out of order. It was at 1 o'clock a.m., 13 millimeter XWA. I list the observation. It's a rather large, irregular round galaxy. It has a bright outer disk halo with brightness increasing. Toward a bright inner core, somewhat stellar nucleus, really just a brighter core. I've listed information here that I've kind of compiled about it and why it's interesting. The next object was 3077. It's Garland Galaxy, because there's a Garland object right next to it. You can look up on that and study about that. It's a small disrupted elliptical galaxy in Ursa Major. I observed it with the 20 millimeters finder and the 13 millimeter for sketching purposes. Large round galaxy with a bright outer halo on the north side. Brightness increases with a bright inner core and a stellar nucleus. It's really near Messier 81 and 82, which was the next couple objects that I got to. It was fun to find and track this down. I can remember star hopping right to it, right off Sky Safari. It was the first time, I got to be honest, that I left all atlases at home, no paper trails. I had committed myself just to using Sky Safari on this trip, not supplementing it with anything else. And it really worked well. I was very happy with the star hopping off of it. Should have done it a long time ago. I just committed myself to it, not just use it as another tool. I still need to bring an atlas just as a backup in case something were to happen to the tablet or something. But anyway, it was a really good, cool experience. I listed information here and what's interesting about it. The next object is 2976, which is a peculiar dwarf galaxy in Ursa Major. This was at 11:40 p.m. at Wolf Creek on the 26th. 20 millimeter XWA is the finder with the 13 XWA to sketch with the 7 millimeter and the 6 millimeter orthoscopic. It's a large, I don't know why large. It's a small to moderate size. I need to put that here. Irregular spiral galaxy in Ursa Major. It's oval shaped, laying northwest to southeast. It's very large and very diffused. It has no structure. Since I had large there, I'll pull the notes up really quick on this. Yeah, large. It's not small. Very diffused. It has no structure. There's some brightening near the center, but no real core. The core is probably too bright in the sketch. It's really just a diffused galaxy. There's the information on it. Next one was 4041, a face-on spiral in Ursa Major. That's this one in the lower left. And you see 4036 up here, nearly edge-on galaxy in Ursa Major. SQM was 2169 at 12:20 a.m. Using 13 on these and the 20. This one is a small round galaxy. It's face-on, has diffused halo, bright inner core. See, I always like doing this. This is another reason I like doing my videos. I always catch my misspellings. And a stellar nucleus. 4036 is more oval in shape. It's nearly an edge-on galaxy. It's elongated, laying north to south. It has a bright inner core with this nice stellar nucleus. They really made a nice pair to observe and to make the quick sketch. There's the information on both, and there's some key points and what's interesting. 5322 elliptical galaxy in Ursa Major, 1:30 a.m. SQM. I didn't put that in, but it would have been the same. And observation, moderate oval laying east to west with a bright halo with a nice compact core with a near stellar nucleus at times. Very good one to observe. Next sketch, 3945, barred lenticular galaxy in Ursa Major. This is at 12:51 a.m. SQM had dropped a little bit, 2167. That's because this was the time somebody got up to go to the bathroom, so I have a little bit of stray light coming in, I think, from their side. Excellent very good seeing, 13 and 7 millimeter XWA to sketch. Small diffuse oval that lays east to west, bright core with a brighter modeling spots on the edge of the core. Try to capture, if you really look faint, you might see that, especially if you magnify it. There's the information. Next one, 2787, another barred lenticular galaxy in Ursa Major. 2:30 a.m. Antonati 1, 2167. Excellent scene, very good. 20 millimeter and 7 millimeter XWA. It's a small galaxy. It's somewhat elongated northwest to southeast. The outer halo has a very even surface brightness that leads to a bright but small inner core region. So next up, M82, NGC 3034, the Cigar Galaxy. It's a starburst galaxy in Ursa Major. SQM was holding at 2167 here. Excellent transparent. 7 millimeter XWA. It's a very bright edge-on galaxy. It lays northeast to west southwest, east northeast to west southwest. It has a very mottled appearance throughout it. Tried to capture that a little bit with a high surface brightness. There are several dark cuts in the center of the galaxy, which I think I captured there in the sketch. And again, these are raw sketches. I have not processed them in GIMP. Just took the image and I've posted it. You can see the stars sometimes aren't perfect. That's just the way it goes, especially when you're up observing. There's the information on it. Here's M81, Bode's Galaxy, NGC 3031. I got the spiral arm here. There was another spiral arm that came off here. It's a very bright, large galaxy, elongated north-northwest to south-southeast. The inner halo is bright with brightness increasing to the core. Easily seen spiral arm is attached on the south end of the core, which you can see here. Arm curves along the eastern edge northward, separate from the main body. Second arm is also visible. So I think I captured the arms that I was able to visually see. Nice bright inner core region. Then information on it. Next one was 6207, a spiral galaxy at Hercules. This is the one just north of M13, pretty easy to find. It's bright, it's an elongated galaxy. It lays south-southwest to north-northeast. It is sharply concentrated in its brightness with and it does have a very bright inner core region. And the nucleus almost appears stellar. It's going to look stellar in the sketch. That's how it came out. It's just, like I said, north of Messier 13. So in the summer, it's a great one to go after. It's a fun one to get. It's a fun one to sketch, actually. Pretty happy with that sketch. There's the information on it. Got to work on my globulars, especially when I'm in the field. 6209 is another globular cluster in Hercules. It's not M13, it's one farther down. This was done at 3:59 a.m. Antonati 1, good, excellent. In the 7mm, it's bright, it's moderately large, has a brilliant core, it's somewhat mottled. You can see I tried to get some of that modeling in there. Multiple bright stars are visible in the halo. Core is mottled as noted. Globular form is a good equatorial triangle with 2 8-magnitude stars here. You can see that. It's a nice globular. Helps if I spell globular right, doesn't it? And the core almost has a heart shape, which I think I captured in the sketch there. This is 4258 or Messier 105 in Canis Venatici. Very good. It's a wonderful 2-armed spiral galaxy. The 2 arms are evident as they emerge from the core. Definitely have one here. Another one that's kind of hinted at there. The eastern arm is defined as a thin arm just jutting out from the core towards the, see, lots of towards northwest. The arm is brightest where it attaches to the core, which I've tried to capture there. It's really faint, somewhat elongated spiraling. Anyway, I think I messed up there too. Oh no, 4248 I observed, but I did put the sketch in. Anyway, I believe it's the one right up here. Okay, some information about them. 4346 lenticular galaxy in Canis Venatici. It's a rather bright, very elongated galaxy, lays east to west, has a bright core with a stellar nucleus. Pretty easy to see, very interesting. 4800 was another spiral in Canis Venatici. It's rather bright in a small galaxy with a large, bright core and a stellar nucleus. Oval in shape, sits north-northeast to south-southwest. The outer halo is greeny and mottled. I think I did a decent job of capturing that. Read some stuff about it. This was one of my favorite observations of this night. This one really got me pumped because I just saw so much detail. Sketch doesn't justify what I saw. This is 4449 or Caldwell 21. It's an irregular melagenic type galaxy in the constellation of Canis Venatici. This was with 13 and 7mm to observe. It was, like I said right here, the funnest object of the night. It's irregular in its appearance. It's just gonna blow you away a little bit. It's well worth the investment to go hunt it down and to take a look at it because it's so intriguing. It has an irregular surface brightness throughout it, and there's modeling throughout it. The core is not regular. It varies in brightness and has knots in it. The southwest corner has a very bright knot, which you can see here. It's somewhat rectangular in shape almost. I guess you could say oval, but I really felt it was more rectangular in shape. And there's another one just right next to it right here. And it's known, 449 is known for its vigorous star formation. It's a starburst galaxy also with active star-forming regions, prominent H2 regions, and complex gas filaments. It's interacting with the nearby dwarf galaxy, which I believe is the one that I had posted up here. I'll have to fix that in the post, which I also did see. 3949, unbarred spiral in Ursa Major, rather bright and, see, it's always good that I go through these. Relatively large oval-shaped galaxy, lays northwest to southeast somewhat, core is faint, substellar nucleus. I think I got that captured pretty well. Galaxy currently assumed to be the most like our own Milky Way in structure. And you're seeing this a little bit tilted, but it is the one that they believe is most like our Milky Way. If you look really closely, there were some dark areas, a little bit of modeling there, hint of arms, I felt. Anyway, you can read up on that. 4570, edge on lenticular in Virgo earlier in the night, and because it was June 26 on the date, so I did this before midnight. It's a rather bright and mid-sized large galaxy with a bright and somewhat elongated core. Get rid of that. And a stellar nucleus sits south-southeast to north-northwest. Core has a slight bulge to it, which I got here. I should have extended the core here in the sketch. Anyway, it's the key facts. Then we moved into multiple galaxies. 4260, which is the bottom left here. 4269 right here. 4261 is the galaxy right here in the middle. 4264 right here. And then up here you had 4270. And so 4260, moderately large galaxy, broad concentration and halo, somewhat elongated southwest to northeast. 4261, bright, oval in shape with a bright inner core, nice stellar nucleus, a tad elongated north-northwest to south-southeast. 4264, rather small and faint galaxy, rounded shape and an even concentration of brightness. 4269 is really, really faint and small, has a bright core and is a little elongated. There's a magnitude 7.7 star right here that interferes with 4269's observation. You want magnification and try to get that star out of it. It's hard. It's really hard to do that. 4270 is a bright galaxy with a bright core with a hint of faint arms in the 13 millimeter and the 7 XWAs. And then here's the information on them. You can look over all that. We'll just come down to the next one. 4270 is the lenticular galaxy to the right. 4281 is this main one. 4270 is here. 4268, it's right here. And then you had 4273 here. 4281, the main one. 4300 down here. Okay. 4270 is a fairly bright galaxy in its outer halo with a bright inner core and a stellar nucleus. The galaxy showed some faint arms in the 7 millimeter XWA with averted vision. The 4268 is a small galaxy, somewhat bright, and has a bright core region. 4273 is rather bright and somewhat large galaxy, and it's the brightest in this grouping. And 4300 is elongated with a bright elongated core. And 4281 is a rather bright galaxy with a bright elongated core. It's the second brightest in the group. So a bunch of them grouped together, mainly in the 20s, the 13 a little bit for some observations there. Then I give information on each of them here, which you can go through. And then as we come down, that ended the observations. And so at that point, I took all my cases, put them in the front seat, put the scope, scope cover on the 17, closed her up, bunched her up on the bottom, crawled into the back of my Ascent, got on that 2-inch memory foam with air pad underneath, crawled into my sleeping bag. It was cold, and I slept till about 10:20. I put my shades up in the window. Got a good probably 6 hours, almost 6 hours in. Got up, had my chia pudding with raspberries that I'd brought that was still in my cooler, nice and cold and almost frozen, but it was cold. It was still good. And then I packed everything up, loaded up, and headed home. Usually I'd stay multiple days, but with the moon up, I just tried to sneak this one in. I'm so glad I went. Between the drive up, the observing, the moose, just being out there, just kind of put things into perspective for me that, life is a wonderful gift that we have. I hope we take advantage and use it for doing good things for ourselves, for other people, and realizing that we're only here temporarily, very short time in cosmic terms. Actually, at 60, I think it's going by a little too fast for me, even in my personal life. So it's one of the reasons I love going out there. I love being out in nature. I love connecting with nature and the world around me that I live in. And I also love being connected to the universe and being reminded how transitory we are, how important it is to take advantage of each and every day that you're given, and to make sure that you're making a difference in the life of your family, your loved ones, your friends that are within your sphere of influence, as I call it, and people in general, to be friendly and kind, compassionate, understanding. Doesn't mean we have to always accept the behavior or agree with each other, but we can do so in a compassionate, understanding, empathetic way. And as Stephen R. Covey once said, it's far better to understand than be understood. And you need to understand first, and then seek first to understand, then seek to be understood. I usually find if I seek to understand, I don't need to seek to be understood. That was my observing trip up to Wolf Creek. Can't wait to go back. Wish I could go up there right now. Usually, like I said, there's 100 inches of snow. There's probably about 10, I wouldn't even say 20, there's probably about 6 to 10 inches if we're lucky. Windy, cold here. I'm going to have a nice little swim here in a second. Hope you have a happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy whatever it is you celebrate. I hope you find time to enjoy family at this time of year and to be with those you love. Have a great one. Look forward to talking to you again soon.